And the Grenadines. WEFM is SGG.
It's time for Shakeup on WEFM 99.9.
And it's 10:32 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to the Shakeup program for today. The scripture reading is taken from Psalm 119, verses 1 to 3. Blessed are those whose ways are blameless, who walk according to the law of the Lord. Blessed are those who keep his statutes and seek him with all their heart. They do no wrong, but follow his ways. Of course, Shakeup is a political interactive program, and the number to call to be a part of today's program is 457-9997, and that's our on-air number. Our digital number is 532-79997, and our WhatsApp contact is 457-9994. The moderator for today's program is Mr. Augustine Ferdinand. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Narissa. Good morning to everyone listening to the sound of my voice. I am your host for today's usual Monday Shake-Up Radio program. As usual, I want to send greetings to everyone who is locked on, whether in the diaspora, across the continent of Europe, and our many students around the world. Those of you who are also joining us via Star and Garfuna Radio this morning. Pleasant greetings to those of you who are joining us on social media via WEFM 99.9 Facebook page. Whether you are in the comfort of your homes or simply driving to and from your destination this blessed morning, pleasant morning to you. As usual, it's an interactive program, and the numbers to call and get interactive with us here in studio of WFM are 784-457-9997. That's the landline number, 784-457-9997. And you can call or send us messages on the WhatsApp number, 784-457-9994. That's 784-457-9994. Well, today's program, of course, we'll zero in a bit on some information from Issues at Hand program yesterday, usually hosted by Mr. Ryan and his co-host, P. John, and Mr. Providence. Of course, yesterday, the guest was Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonzalez, and there were a lot of information, more or less, that was related to the public. One of them I'll focus on this morning is the issue of employment. Just to mention again, and you know, I often say we have to be careful with what we sometimes swallow, because I'm quite sure persons yesterday who listened to the Prime Minister on the Issues at Hand program, when they heard that you have over 300 construction workers at Sandals Beaches construction site versus what you heard last year, and you continue to hear it now and then from the opposition, that we hardly have Vincentians working there. And the recollection that it was said we have more persons from Dominican Republic. Not sure how many persons remember that. And as a matter of fact, I remember the leader of the opposition actually had a press conference where he mentioned that to her, and he said that we have more persons, more workers from the Dominican Republic working there, and how Vincent is not getting the opportunity to work, and all of these things. But I'm quite sure it was an eye-opener for persons yesterday. Like I said, in February, March, I actually spoke to a construction worker in my barber shop, and he said that, you know, they have a lot of people working. It was over 200 at the time, and that by April, he said they would take on more, because, I mean, the work is going quicker, and they have a deadline to meet. And again, it's an opportunity for many persons across St. Vincent and Grenadines in gaining a job. Of course, the Prime Minister said yesterday that because of the job opportunities created in the construction sector, you have some issues pertaining to the job market in the agricultural sector, as more persons, maybe find it lucrative or the like, and going into construction, that there's a shortage in terms of farm workers. So there's an uptick in jobs. I'm not surprised, because while you have significant growth as a result of what is taking place in construction and what is taking place also in tourism in terms of rebound and the like, I'm not surprised that you also have a significant uptick. I mean, when you record 5% and then a 6% in growth, you of course will see a significant uptick in terms of jobs that are being created in the job market. So again, as Prime Minister said, there are more persons working now currently than in the history of St. Vincent and Grenadines. And again, you allude that to what is taking place in terms of economic growth, in terms of the various productive sectors and construction that is taking place. So that is just by sight and observation. I don't think any reasonable person would suggest otherwise, that there aren't significant jobs being created. The Prime Minister did make mention that in 2001, and of course he used the NIS as an institution to try to see where your job market figures are at, because of course once you are employed, NIS is deducted. If you're employed by someone else, you have to pay your NIS. Of course, now one of the recommendations or suggestions that we heard from the director of the NIS, based on the reform that is taking place, is maybe we'll have legislation to ensure that all self-employed persons pay contributions to the NIS. And once that is being done, I mean, there's two ways you look at it. One, of course, is that we know there are persons who may be self-employed and they don't pay NIS, and then later on down, they run into some financial problems and they don't really have anything to fall back on, whether the business go sideways or the like. And sometimes what happens with NIS over the various years in the past, we used to have what's called payment to non-contributors. And that was part of the problem. I mean, Barbados, when I spoke to my Bajan counterpart, they said that they phased that out since the 1990s, because that was part of the problem. You're paying out contributions to persons who didn't contribute in the first place. So that would affect its sustainability. Of course, we phased that out now, but it came very much later on. But part of it is that self-employed persons, you need to cater for rainy days just in the event. So that is one part that the NS would want to tackle. And the other is where I look at as well reliable stats. It's something I've mentioned before many times in terms of NIS data, that the current data may not necessarily capture all the persons in the job market, because you have persons out there who are self-employed, but not necessarily reflected in the data of the NIS. So that is another thing that we'll tackle, to show some more reliable information. So reality, even if you have 42,000 persons, based on the NIS data where contributions are made by workers, you can see there the number may be high, because there are actually persons who are self-employed that may not be captured in that information. But yes, as the Prime Minister mentioned, in 2001, when the government came to office, Unity Labour Party government came to office, you had about 30,000 active registrants. And so there are persons I know who will say, well, even though they may be registrants, it doesn't mean it's active. That is why I say active, as in persons who are actually working based on the contributions that they are making on a regular. And currently, that number is going up 41,000, 42,000, which is significant. Of course, you have during the height of the COVID period, and that was reflected across the entire region and even the world, where there was a slight increase, or in some cases a major increase in unemployment, because again, the pandemic delivered a major blow to the job market, where you have a decline in economic activity and where you have disruptions in terms of the economy. No doubt you'll also have that. And I hear some persons, say that, oh, it's because of the government fault, etc. But it's just what happened around the world in terms of the pandemic. But if you look at the information, the reliable information, you would have seen that since this government came to office, and it's reflected across different information stream, that unemployment has declined, from 23%, I remember very well, to even coming up to 2018, 2019, it was at 19%. And there were two major periods where you had increases in unemployment, so to speak. Overall unemployment was during between the 2008 and 2011 period, which again, when the world was facing a global financial meltdown, and again, across the region and across the world, you've seen increases in unemployment. So you can't really put full blame on government, so to speak. What I do know is that some persons look at the responses of various governments, but more or less in St. Vincent and Grenadines, we managed that exceptionally well. And of course, in our situation, we had the 2013 floods, which affected a lot of farms in the country, and where we had a more or less in terms of our economy, because of the productive sector, in terms of uptick in unemployment there again. And during the height of the COVID-19 period, again, you had a slight uptick, and that is why you had the government go to Parliament, pass a law to make sure that NIS can pay out unemployment claims, because under the previous act, the NIS mandate wasn't catered for that. But of course, it's a current government. We understood the situation, and we went to Parliament, passed the law to make sure that the NIS can pay out unemployment claims to persons. The government, the central government, also put monies towards that. And sometimes we forget these things. But now, of course, rebounding from that COVID-19, the height of the pandemic era, and even though we had the best performing economy during that period of a contraction of 5% in terms of economic growth or contraction, it was a contraction nonetheless, even though you're the best performer, because other countries like St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Antigua, they had a contraction of double-digit figures. You only had a contraction of 5%. And therefore, the next year after that, in 2021, during the eruptions of Lassa Frey, again, you had economic activity in the northern part of the island being affected, including farmlands, etc. and retail businesses. Despite all of that, we still had an increase of growth by 0.8%. Some figures will show 1%. So we sort of manage and contain the situation exceptionally well. And then we, of course, in 2022, saw growth of 5%. So if you put the contraction of 5% in 2020, you can say that by 2022, the economy more or less sort of rebounded somewhat with a slight growth if you put the 3 years together. And a projection of 6% this year will show that we're totally more or less recovering because of that. So we are on the right trajectory. Of course, that is why the NDP won't talk about these things, because it's too much of a good news. Of course, we see again coming out of St. Vincent and Grenadines, we'll have visits, weekly flights by Canada. And the good thing about it is that these flights will also be traveling to Barbados and Grenada. And there are persons I know who complain about regional travel and inter-Caribbean and the like. So you have another option. And the mere fact that this is taking place shows that our Argyle International Airport is indeed working for us, despite what the skeptics and the anti-progressives will want to say or suggest. But starting November 1st, you will see an increase in number of flights to St. Vincent and Grenadines from Air Canada, from twice weekly to 4 times weekly. And of course, that is during the height of the winter period. So that is another good news. And again, you won't hear some persons talk about this because it's too much of a good news. And where you will have frequency in terms of arrivals today. We have Lavu and we now have Maya. And by the first quarter of next year, you should have Sandals beaches, all things, going well. So these things are happening in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and that is why you have an uptick in terms of jobs here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. So based on that, you can say from 30,000, as the Prime Minister mentioned yesterday, from 30,000 persons, active workers in the market, see 12,000 additional jobs being created under this government. But you've heard the NDP over the many years say that the government ain't creating jobs for people. But the figures don't lie. They're real people. They're active registrants. And that is why we see through the sector skills development sector skills unit, that they're calling on persons to apply for technical skills training under the 8 program. That is the Young and Adults Training for Employment. That is why it's called Young and Adults Training for Employment. And they have various skills being offered, from plumbing, electrical installation, electronics, whether in terms of your cell phone and that electronic repair, welding, construction, you have bartending, cookery, housekeeping, motor vehicle repair, all these things, aquaponics, that is in agriculture, all these skills that they are offering. And of course, training begins next month on the 17th, and you can have various training at the technical facilities, whether in Camden Park, Barley, Kingston, Georgetown, and other persons providing such at the various technical centers, because there's an uptick demand. There's a significant demand for jobs and for skilled jobs in the economy. And I often say that persons who don't have a skill, or persons who may want to get an additional skill, persons who may have dropped out of school, persons who decided not to go to college, this is an opportunity for you. You know, instead of sitting down, instead of waiting, this is an opportunity for you to get a skill, do something, and become productive. You know, and again, this also shows that despite what the opposition normally says, that I remember the MP for Southern Grenadines stood in Parliament on many occasions. We've heard it also from the NDP on the various platforms, that the government isn't emphasizing or placing significant emphasis on skills. Well, trust me, over the many years, we have seen thousands of persons, young persons, receive their CVQs, the Caribbean Vocational Qualifications, and their NVQs, National Vocational Qualifications. And someone, you may ask, well, what's the difference? Well, it's simply that the CVQ will allow you the opportunity to be able to apply your craft in another CARICOM country, because you can then be able to get a skill certificate to do such, because you have what's called a Caribbean Vocational Qualification Certificate. So there's that. And I say again to take up the opportunity, and you can reach Yate office through the numbers 493-7506. That's 493-7506 and 452-5587. If you are interested in applying to learn a skill, you reach these numbers 452-5587, because there's a significant demand in the job market. And right now, I can tell you, and even as the Prime Minister mentioned yesterday, they're looking for carpenters, they're looking for masons, they're looking for persons involved in tiling, plumbing. Well, for quite a while, I know, and you may know too, that plumbers are one of the hardest professionals to get. Plumbers. There's a significant demand for plumbers, persons who are also general construction. There's a significant demand for these jobs. And we have at the various technical facilities and where applications are out for you to learn these skills, to be able to be productive and apply your craft and make some money. So if you're not doing anything, take up the opportunity now, because there are these demands in the job market, and it shows that what the Unity Labour Party told you in 2020, that it is about creating jobs, providing jobs for you, the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines. That is exactly what is taking place as we speak. Delivering upon promises made to you, the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines. So the opportunities are there now, and it's the same thing that is taking place in agriculture. I mean, the Prime Minister did make mention yesterday as well that after Sandals Beaches is completed, you will have again job opportunity for over 1,200 workers. And given our worker force population, as in persons who can actually work, adding 1,200 jobs is significant for a small economy of St. Vincent and Grenadines, small island economy of ours. 1,200, that's significant. And of course, there's the ripple effect of that in agriculture, where you will have a demand of over 700,000 tons of produce. And therefore, you cannot simply sit and wait to see what will happen. You have to get ready now and prepare yourself. 100,000 pounds of produce. Bananas, pineapples, watermelons. I noticed that based on what I see on the market, both locally and in outside and in the supermarkets, that there's an increased production in watermelons. I love my watermelons. I buy them maybe 4 times in a week. I eat watermelon religiously every day. You have in terms of local juices, eggs, seafood, and like 700,000 pounds of produce. And therefore, you have to get ready. And once you have an increase in the production as well, realize, like I said, and as the Prime Minister said yesterday, there's now a shortage in the agricultural market. It therefore means that there's job opportunities there for you to get involved. And that is why, based on the strategy through the Ministry of Agriculture of ramping up production and therefore reducing our reliance on certain goods that we are already producing. And hence that ties into what is taking place in terms of our modern port construction. Everything is linked, because now where you have an increase in production of goods, produce, and where you have an export-led strategy in place, it therefore means that as you are looking to produce more for local consumption and also for exports, you have to increase your capacity to hold storage at the container port. And for persons who may be wondering, well, now the deposits, in terms of the sand deposits as a result of the dredging, that's completed as of now. And therefore, what they're going to do is to strengthen that reclamation site in terms of compacting and all of that. So that is the next phase of it. Again, government of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Unity Labour Party, simply delivering on promises it made to you, the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines, in 2020. And it will not be deterred by the detractors. You elect a government to work, and the government is indeed working. And that is why, even though the MP for Central Kingston said that the government of St. Vincent, or you the people, God, it didn't really say the government, he said you should not allow sandals here in St. Vincent and Grenadines to invest one more red cent in our economy. And at the time, Sandals simply invested about $100 million in that investment. And not too long after, Leacock spoke, Sandals put another 100 million on that. I'm quite sure he may have been pissed about it. But these are the opportunities that are being created. And that is why I said, now you're going to have the opportunity there to have 1,200 workers. And the vice president of the NDP said that you shouldn't have allowed Sandals to invest one more red cent, and that there should be a cap on that sort of investment, on how far we allow these investors to invest. It would therefore mean that instead of having 1,200 jobs, you may have had just 500. And that is why I said to talk about cap on investments and how far these investors will spend the money and how much they will spend and how far they will go, will also mean that you are calling for a cap on jobs. But at the same time, you're going around and telling people, whether at your rallies, whether at your meetings, whether in the corners, whether on your platforms, that the government isn't doing nothing to create jobs for ordinary Vincentians. And that is why you know that the NDP has nothing to offer you. Because while the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines, while the Unity Labour Party government is doing, is delivering, is making sure that you have more job opportunities and more training opportunities so that you can advance, so that you can excel. All they are doing is talking and trying to see how they can stifle and stymie progress and development of our blessed country. So the opportunities are there, ladies and gentlemen, and we simply have to, have been saying it many times, we simply have to prepare ourselves for these opportunities, from the farmers, from those in tourism and hospitality business, those in tour operation. We have to simply prepare ourselves. Quality and consistency in terms of products, goods. We have to. And for those who don't have a skill, for those who are looking for jobs, for those who simply they are not doing anything, the opportunity is also there for you to learn a skill. You can visit the 8th office, which is just opposite the General Post Office or administrate the ministerial building in Kingston, on the other side in Gecko building, opposite ministerial building, and you can visit the sector skills development unit office, which is on the first floor or the floor above Medic's Pharmacy. The opportunities are there, and it's simply now for you to capitalize on them. That is what government is about to know. Creating the opportunities, and you simply now have to go and grab them. You don't expect this or that minister to hold your hand and say, come, there we go. No, you got to take the initiative as well. They're creating the opportunities through policy. And you now have to take the initiative and take advantage of these opportunities. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. Welcome to Shakeup. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ferdinand.
Hey, good morning, Jono. Morning.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. Good morning, Jono. John? All right.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, John, we're hearing you. Okay, seems you have some problem.
Hello, Mr. Ferdinand, good morning.
Yes, John, we're hearing you talk.
I'm not.
Okay, I guess we have a problem. All right. I apologize there. We'll have to sort that out. But yeah, there's significant opportunities there. The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines is doing. Okay, let's see again. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Shakeup.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Ferdinand.
Yes, John, good morning.
Hello?
All right, I guess we have a problem there. Okay, so we apologize for that. I guess we have a problem. So yes, that is what you elect the government to do, to carry out its mandate based on the promises made to you. You read the manifesto, you attended the rallies, you heard the speeches, and we are simply delivering and shall not be deterred. There are those who would like to derail the government from implementing its agenda. There are those who are running scared, and that is why they're carrying on with all sort of foolishness, with lies, innuendos, nastiness. Yeah, because the government isn't being deterred. The Prime Minister mentioned here that soon we'll have MRI services in the country. First time in our history, MRI. A lady calling, and I thank her for giving her own testimony. I tell you, and I am awaiting all the figures in terms of the costings, the updated ones, to really show you how heavily subsidized healthcare is in this country and the services that you can get. $45 for colonoscopy. A friend told me that in the US office, sometimes there is $800, and of course it's not 800 EC. 45 Eastern Caribbean dollars for colonoscopy. Imagine that. You could imagine that. And you have kidney dialysis treatment as well being offered. Heavily subsidized. Of course, you can get extra services, Bookament at the Bookament Polyclinic. You can get at Levi Latham Health Complex. You can get at Stubbs Polyclinic. This is happening in our country. And as we build the modern acute referral hospital, you'll also get another MRI service there as well. Transforming the health sector. But all you get from the NDP is talk. That's all you get. Talk. And bacchanal. Talk and bacchanal. What you prefer? A government that is working, a government that is implemented, or a political party that is about mayhem, bacchanal, and lies? I would sure go for the one that is working and implementing, the one that is getting things done. I'm quite sure you would like also a political party in government that get things done. That is what is most important, getting things done. Delivering. And also very important is that in challenging times, being able to hold things together. You know, today is Monday the 5th. The president of NDP, well, not the president anymore, the former president of NDP Young Dems resigning in May. Short stint, few months. You hear a word come out of the NDP. The only thing you're hearing coming out of the NDP is real mayhem. That I don't know. That is what you want. This is the Unity Labour Party government that delivered Rabaka Bridge. That is delivering the permanent bridges in Noel and Overland. You have temporary bridges in the meantime. This is the political party and government that delivered an international airport. This is the government and Unity Labour Party that delivered education revolution, and that is continuing to be upgraded, to be revolutionized. The revolution is ongoing. And this is the Unity Labour Party and government that will deliver the modern acute referral hospital and the modern port. It's simple as that. A track record of its ability to deliver. That is what you want. That is what I want. That is what I'm quite sure you would want for your children. Having a capable government with the ability to deliver. You look at the NDP, do you see that? Do you see that sort of capability? One of the main functions, ladies and gentlemen, of the opposition, major function of the opposition in this country is to keep the government to account. Keep the government to account. That is why enshrined in our constitution, you have the leader of the opposition, whoever they may be, is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. Whoever they may be. Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. Primary major function of the opposition. And if they cannot even get that function right, what else will they do? If not even that, they can get right. What else they could get right? What else they could get right? They will bring all sorts of excuses as to why they cannot have Public Accounts Committee meeting. All sorts of excuses. they will burn. When the Unity Labour Party was in opposition, you've had Public Accounts Committee meetings. It is sad and unfortunate that Vincentians never experience that within the opposition's tenure. It's sad. A major primary function. Maybe reality, you can look on the flip side of it. Maybe they actually say, you know what, it make no sense because the government is always proactive in being accountable to citizens. Maybe that's one part of it. Because oftentimes you get a report from the Prime Minister and citizens of St. Vincent and Grenadines can always access these documents at SAPO. You have financial statements from statutory corporations being laid before Parliament for all MPs to see and peruse. So maybe that's just it. Maybe they say, well, you know, the government is proactive in keeping to account and it makes no sense for us to call any meeting. Another part of it is that reality, they might not even be bothered. That's too much work. I've seen elsewhere in the Caribbean, in neighboring Barbados, where you have different public officials, because that's what it really is, you know. I mean, the ministers of government are there to formulate policy. But ministers do not get involved in the day-to-day running of ministries. Ministers of government do not actually spend monies. It is the civil servants that are engaged in that function. The minister is simply there in guiding policy, and the Department of Governments, whether in education, whether in health, whether in agriculture, they're simply there to implement the policy. And they implement it by making sure that the procedures are followed, making sure that monies are expended for their purpose. And therefore, that is what you normally get out of Public Accounts Committee meetings. And that is why also Public Account Committee isn't made up only of opposition members, but they are made up of members of the government side. Because there are times you may want a particular public official, whether a director of a particular department or simply another civil servant, to answer certain questions as to why this X amount of money is spent on this instead of that, or where money is spent for a particular initiative. You never got that experience from this lazy opposition. I've experienced it elsewhere and understanding how it works. But not even the opposition here could get that right. Is there running a country they could get right? They can't even manage a political party. Can't even do that. Is a country they can manage? Obviously not. And that is why you want the Unity Labour Party to remain in office. A government that not only delivers, but knows how to manage St. Vincent and Grenadines. This is a government that reality put St. Vincent on the map. Punching above our weight. We are not too small to achieve great things. And a foreign policy that is working for us. You have those in the opposition who will say, well, the government not really beg. You would hear that. Well, in the world we live in, they got to do what they got to do to make sure that you survive, not so? Some may see it as begging, but reality in the real world we live in, you have different interests. and you do what you must to make sure that your country and the citizens of your country, that they have opportunities. You can't, and the Prime Minister normally says it, he can't sit down, whether in North Central Windward or whether in the Prime Minister's residence, and hope for some other head of government to come to him. You can't. They gotta go out. It's just like if you are operating a business or even a farmer. You can't just grow your crops, sit down under a tree and hope that persons who may have a demand for your produce, that they come to you, because there are other persons who are also producing the same thing that you are. You gotta go out there and find the market. You may form network with other persons to get the market to supply your produce. You simply can't sit down and hope that things will just drop in your lap. You gotta go out and get it. And we have a government, we have a prime minister who makes sure that he does what he can in providing opportunities for you. Well, let us take this call. We have a call coming through the landline. Good morning, call. Welcome to Shakeup. Let's see.
Good morning, Mr. Ferdinand.
Okay, you're hearing me.
I
Good
don't know
morning.
if you'll be able- morning. I
Okay,
don't know
you're
if you'll
hearing
be
me.
able to advise me, but I'm still going to put something to you. Hey, Flow no longer sends out bills. I don't have any email. So when I get a bill from them that I do not understand, I want a call to find out if you'll be able to help me. They've given me you ever studied the bill from Flow, by the way, or what you're paying for when it comes to Flow?
Not quite. I pay online. They just show me. Well, I just have a basic package. They just show me my amount. My amount is the same every month, so I just pay it.
Oh, you're not. Because they're quoting some things here, so I managed to find out one or two things from the bill I got this morning. They have landline.
Okay, so that means you have
They
a
have
landline
broadband on it.
phone.
Huh? What's that?
So you have a landline phone, I believe.
Right, I have a
Okay.
landline. But this is not the calls on the landline. It just marks landline. I don't understand what this is all about. And they have tax, the hunger tax. I thought that was a tax that the government imposed on cable and wireless to pay cable and wireless to pay the government. But it looks as if it's now been handed over to the customers. You don't know
Okay.
about that part?
Well, I know there's a rate that is charged to, well, is now Flow, but it's actually the same company, it's Cable and Wireless.
Yeah.
And they may apply the rate, whether they pass it on to consumers through telephone calls. Yes, that's permitted.
No, but it was not there all the time, Mr. Ferdinand. This is recent that they started handing over this tax to the customers. And I never heard discussed anywhere in Parliament or anything like that. When it was introduced, I heard it. And I knew that they were going to introduce it and cable and wireless was supposed to pay it. But all of a sudden, it appears on the customers' bills. And we are now paying it. I don't know how much of it. And this other landline. And I don't know. We don't, as I said, I don't get a bill anymore. I don't have any email. I just feel that we are being taken advantage of. I really wish to know. And
So there's the charge on the landline. There's also a broadband. You see a charge for broadband, because that would mean you have internet.
Okay, well that wasn't anything much. But then they're telling me something about but I know how much the local calls are, and I know how much the overseas calls are.
Okay, so they break it down.
But VAT, how much is our VAT?
16%.
What? 16%?
Yes.
16 we paying cable and wireless?
That is the VAT rate. That is the flat VAT rate.
I didn't know it was just higher as that.
Yes. Remember when VAT was introduced, it was at 15%. And then it increased to 16. Yes. Across the region, Across the region, you may find VAT at 79 when Barbados is 17.5%.
I have to cut off something off this bill. How does one reduce the cost your TV, for instance? If you find your TV, you can't pay this bill. Is there anything you could cut off in your TV?
Well, you can go into Flow and try sort out a plan or a different package.
Because it goes up and up and up every single month, and I mean, I not once have it gone down, just plain going up and up and up.
Like I said, I pay a very flat rate of just $100 and something because one, I don't have cable. To be honest, I have a laptop. If I want to watch something, I use that. All I pay for is internet.
I see. Well, maybe I'll have to switch myself.
But what you can do is go into them and see what package that may be best tailored for
because I thought I had done that, and I thought that'd give me a reasonable one. But every single month, it just keeps going up and up. Thanks, Mr. Ferdinand. Thanks very much. Anyhow.
No problem. All right then. Yes. But yeah. So this is what you have. A government that is delivering. Very important, having a government that delivers. And then we have, of course, as the Prime Minister mentioned, what I call the cultural hubs. You're going to have studios and the like, creating more opportunities again for persons, those who are well talented, or some may say lyrically inclined. Yeah, and I'm not quoting here any dancehall song now, it's just being lyrically inclined. To create that opportunity for them as well. Of course, it is this government that restored Peace Memorial Hall for persons who may have known what that particular facility was like, overrun with bush. It was basically a jungle. It is this government, and it was under the then Minister of Tourism and Culture, Bernie Batiste, who is now the Speaker of the OECS Assembly, that we saw that facility renovated, upgraded, and of course, you still have events taking place there. Persons who are involved in drama and the like at that particular venue. So this is a government that creates opportunities for people. And it's simply now on you to take advantage of these opportunities. Because like I said, minister, you don't expect the minister to come to your home and take your hand and say, well, here, come, go there. They deal with policy and making sure that the opportunities are created for you so that you can get up and go and grab those opportunities. It's likewise with foreign policy. A government with a progressive foreign policy agenda and uses the foreign policy of the state in creating more opportunities for the average man and woman in this country. So you have persons, for example, who are studying in Taiwan, who are graduated, and I see there are more persons with their bachelor's and their master's degree, from those in engineering, from those in biomedical, from those in marketing. And in addition to that, they learn another language, which is a plus. So you become bilingual. That's a plus. And of course, you get a whole different cultural experience. And when you return home, of course, you may be able to pass on certain things. Similarly, with those who are studying in the UK at University of Trinity St. David. Again, because of the Prime Minister's intervention and King Charles. You now have an expanded UWE campus. And more Vincentians, both in private and public sector, are taking advantage of that opportunity because they are offering more programs. They have larger lecture rooms. Because more Vincentians are taking advantage of the opportunities because this is a government that is offering 900 and something tuition scholarships and 70 something national scholarships. And they still have the disadvantaged student loan. So because of that, more and more persons are going after these opportunities in upgrading themselves. Because the policy of the government making sure that you fly like eagles with your wings unclipped. And as you become more educated, there are more opportunities available. You have persons, many young persons who are in middle management and management positions in the country, in different institutions in the country. And there are those, as a result of graduating, they can apply for a skills certificate because under the Treaty of Chaguaramas and the revised treaty, as a matter of fact, where the regimes were expanded, once you're a graduate, you can apply for a skills certificate, and that certificate affords you the opportunity to be able to work in another CARICOM country. I've known persons who are working across the OECS, and that is why, you see, there are those who have limited vision. That is why I don't know why some persons, and in particular in the NDP, who have a problem with an OECS national investing in our country and helping to find markets for our farmers to sell their produce. You ever hear us? I think we thought we should be all happy that our farmers are able to sell their goods at a buyer or to a buyer, not at, but to a buyer, and be paid up front. And where, of course, that buyer has the contacts and the markets to sell produce to. I thought we would all be happy. But there are, again, those who are so anti-progressive and who say, oh, why do we have a Lucian? St. Lucia is just, it's like next to our door. There are persons who live, and those who are listening via Garifuna Radio knows this. You're in fancy area, you sometimes switch to a Lucian station. I mean, there are those who simply take a boat trip. Part of the OECS, but St. Lucia is just above there, just on the tip. You still roast all the highest village in the country, and on a very clear day, you can't see St. Lucia. And even at nights, once it's clear, you can see lights and even vehicles driving. Yeah, you can. From Rose Hall. I mean, so I don't know. As an OECS national, we should be happy. Because that is like one of our own. But again, some people are so backward in their thinking, or maybe because too many good things are happening that they are vexed. Because once they have too many good things happening, once they have more persons getting job opportunities, once they have more persons, more farmers being able to sell and more money circulating and generating in the economy, that is too good, because it would make the government look good. And once the government look good and the country look good, it would be bad for St. Vincent in their eyes, because it would make it harder for them to win government. That is how they think. Let me take this call. Good morning, call. Welcome to Shakeup.
Oh, hi, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
To you there, my brother, regarding persons qualifying at certain degrees, you know.
Yes.
I would like to make a suggestion to the government that these persons who are now qualified or with their degrees and so on, if they can find employment, right, overseas in order to get the experience. But when they come here, they are experienced and they can get all the necessary experience as well in that country. So that is my kind of suggestion. As regards the farmers, I would like to speak on that another time, you know, but I will just suggest that, in my opinion, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Input Warehouse should do some research and try to get modern farming equipment. It is time that we get rid of, well, not really to get rid of completely, but to get rid of working the hoe and all this kind of thing. There is modern equipment for that, right? And it is less.
Well, what I can tell you, there are tractor services that are utilized by farmers on flat, gently sloping areas. But because of our terrain, I know the Ministry of Agriculture also distributed, and there's utilization of what they call hand tiller.
Right.
The tool hand tillers to assist in that regard. So we are sort of moving in that direction. Of course, you need to get more persons on board, but because of our terrain, I don't expect that where most of our farmlands are, you'll get tractor services per se.
Well, my brother, let me say this. I've done some research, because I like to do a little bit of research here and there. And there are equipments, right? And they can go on any hill, as steep as you want. I've seen it on the internet, right? And I think that those institutions should try and bring in those small equipments, right? I'm not talking about the big tractors and so on. I'm talking about small equipment that can climb a hill. And you don't have to push it up, you know. It operates automatically going up the hill. So I just so let me make that suggestion.
Yes, there's another thing I would say. There's another new, well, it's not really new, but it is sort of gaining ground. The use of aquaponics.
Right, yes.
That I also see that is gaining ground here in St. Vincent.
My brother, let me finally say this. Now, if you have that machine that I'm talking, a small machine, right? When you cut your banana from the body of the tree, right? You can cut the tree, put it inside of that machine, and turn it into powdered form. And that machine now transfer that powdered form right back to the root of the banana tree. Now, those are, in my opinion, to help, because it's fertilizer, organic fertilizer. My brother, I thank you very much.
Thank you for your suggestions. You know, and as part of modernizing, that is the direction. Utilizing technology, well, you call it science and technology in farming. But currently, what we see the thrust being made by the Ministry of Agriculture is use of one tractor services and hand tiller services. And like I said, there's I see young, and this is mainly among younger farmers, the use of aquaponics. That is where you use PVC pipes and the like, but mainly you use them for vegetables. So, your lettuce, tomato, and that kind of thing. So I've seen that seeping in, but it's now 20 minutes to the hour of 12 o'clock. So we'll take a break, pay some bills, and then resume with Shakeup Radio program.
The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line it, with the red and white case, show me what you like. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. With over 60 years experience, hold the best tobacco, best ingredients. Yeah. This is your boy Lou to say, support local, buy your cigarettes from Empire Holdings Limited. 10 cigarettes in a pack for up to $3 retail. Remember, smoking is not for minors.
Turn up your radio to the clean first sound of WEFM 99.9.
That's the sound.
The flavor nice, it's locally made. Affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line it, with the red and white case, show me what you like. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. It's cigarette from Empire, Holdings Limited. With over 60 years experience, hold the best tobacco, best ingredients. Yeah. This is your boy Lou to say, support local, buy your cigarettes from Empire Holdings Limited. 10 cigarettes in a pack for up to $3 retail. Remember, smoking is not for minors.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a whole new world out there. Reaching new customers and getting products faster. That's what it's all about. Ocean freight rates are skyrocketing, so don't pay more for slower service. It's time to switch to faster, more reliable air cargo service with SkyMax Cargo. Up to 3 flights weekly to and from the USA, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean islands. Providing excellent import, export, and e-commerce solutions to put you ahead of the competition. For special low rates on small packages and air cargo, contact SkyMax today. 784-456-5400. Local agents SwiftPack Interbrand Cargo. Call 784-456-5400 to book your shipments today. Out with the old, in with the new. In the past, you complained when we failed. We listened and went back to the drawing board. At last, a new, fresh beginning. A fresh face, a new product. International Standard Metals A792 presents Galvalume, an aluminum roofing metal, branded best used for roofing material, tested and proven to be of superior quality. Get wider coverage for the best prices on the island. We offer a variety of colors, including zinc sheets. Also, take advantage of our unique roofing patterns, U-panel, industrial, and crimp Spanish style. Visit us at the Diamond Industrial Estate. Call us at 784-456-9900 or email bmlsvg@gmail.com. Galvalume, a product of International Standard Metals.
Let's get your laundry clean and fresh with the widest range of washing machines and dryers in SVG. At Singer, choose between our West Point and Speed Queen brands with an array of washing machines with payments starting as low as $92 per month. Your laundry room wouldn't be complete without a Whirlpool or Speed Queen electric or gas-operated dryer, saving your energy consumption. Also in stock is our West Point washer-dryer combo for only $136 per month. One machine that does the work of two. No need to change machines. Just toss in your laundry and forget about it. Whether your preference in machines is top loading or front loading, whether you want a 9 kilogram or a larger 15 kilogram washer, whether you're looking for a gas or electric dryer, we've got it all at Singer. Visit us today and get the washing machine and dryer that's perfect for you. Singer, your family company.
Paramedics is pleased to announce that we have a sale for the month of June on all household items. Cups, dinner plates, clothes baskets, microwaves, toasters, Victoria's Secret splashes and creams, bedspreads, comforter sets, and so much more. Don't forget, we carry the best in medical supplies, including hospital beds, wheelchairs, commodes, crutches, IV poles, adult pampers and adult pull-ups, Huggies wipes, scrub suits and lab coats, Foley catheters, cannulas, syringes, diabetic strips and machines, blood pressure monitors, sterile and unsterile gloves. Thank you for your continued support. Call us at 451-2763 or WhatsApp us at 531-9119.
Hey Google, play me some big people soca.
Okay, playing some touch music.
Soca massive, are you ready to jump?
Touch is back on the road for another Monday t-shirt band with the band Kinetic. 2 live bands with some of Vinci's best soca music.
Somebody's watching you. Well, it's awesome, I come in this land.
Packages go on sale soon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Band Touch. And stay tuned for more updates. And one more thing for the record.
Man can't take what? Man can't take what?
Brought to you by Standard Shippers, Carib, White Oak, Tusty Water, and WEFM.
99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
So yes, we are back in studio of WEFM. I am your host, Augustine Ferdinand. Remember the numbers to call and interact with us at 784-457-9997. That's 784-457-9997. And you can call or send us messages on the WhatsApp number 784-457-9994. That's 784-457-9994. So yes, as you were saying, foreign policy is also very important. And there are those who will say, well, oh, if the government ain't fed up, beg. But the reality is that whatever opportunities that are sought out is for your benefit. For your benefit. The iron road factory, the modernization of the iron road factory is because of strengthened relations between our government and the government and people of India. The free fertilizers that many farmers have received across St. Vincent and Grenadines is as a result of the strengthened relations between our government and the government and people of Morocco and Venezuela. It's not for members of cabinet, though. For you. Similarly to with government and people of Taiwan. Similarly to with the government and people of Mexico. Similarly to as of recently as we saw with the government and people of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Very important. And you are the ones reaping the benefits as a result of these foreign policy relations. There are those who will say, well, you know, we always getting calling in this and that, but we have to do that. We small, we stay out of the thing. In this world we live in, this global environment, we live in a global village, you know, of which St. Vincent and Grenadines is part of that village. We can't simply sit down and watch. We also must have a voice, because matters of international affairs or matters on a global stage, they also affect us. That's a fact. If it's one thing we all should gather from the pandemic, is that something so small that can happen right now, it is night, going into it's soon the next day in China. But reality, something that can happen in the far east of the world within 2-3 days can affect us here in the Caribbean. That's a fact because of the world we live in. That's a fact. Something that happened, and it is continuing, in Ukraine can simply affect the cost of bread here in St. Vincent and Grenadines and other goods. For those of us who, of course, persons who like the bread and wheat related products, something like that happening in Europe as a result of conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and where there's also various aid provided, whether by NATO and the United States of America, that is affecting us here in the Caribbean. A simple turmoil in the Middle East and among oil-producing countries can affect the cost of every single thing, including petrol. Something happening in the far part of the world. Some of us, we don't even know the cities. Some may not even know the language they speak. Some may not even know who is the head of government or the king. But it affects us nonetheless. The increase of CO2, carbon emission in the atmosphere, and increase in global temperature affecting us here in the Caribbean. So for those who are of the opinion that because we are 150 square miles just west of Barbados, within the Caribbean, that we should not involve ourselves to be whether on Security Council or ECOSOC or what have you. Well, hello, we live in a global village, and what happens out there also affects us. And we too need a seat at the table to speak on matters affecting us. There are those who have tunnel vision and those who can't see beyond the shoreline, and there are those who are visionaries. There are those who understand what is taking place. There are those who recognize the importance of wanting to be part of and having to venture out, having a progressive foreign policy crafted to benefit all of the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines. During the global financial crisis, economic crisis of 2008, it was the government and people of Venezuela that came to the aid of many Caribbean countries in the OECS, thanks to the Petrocarib Agreement, where we got more or less subsidized fuel. There are many homes in this country benefited from what is dubbed as the labor gas. Foreign policy at work. But the NDP would prefer for us to stay out, to confine ourselves, to focus only on, you normally hear what they say, focus on St. Vincent. But reality, you're also focusing on St. Vincent needs and interests by making sure that you are able to speak in different forums abroad and lobby on behalf of Vincentians and let the world understand what we are going through as a Caribbean people and Vincentian people. If you don't go out there and do it, who else will? And that is why it's very important that you understand these things and know what is at stake. Because trust me, the NDP, they don't care. They don't have what it takes. They clearly don't have the leadership. Neither do they have the policies nor the ideas. The policy ideas to begin with. We can tell you we are building a modern acute referral hospital at Annesville, 135 beds, funding already secured, and construction to start in the last quarter of this year. But what you hear from the NDP is that they will build a hospital somewhere in East St. George, and if you look in the manifesto, it's to be done in conjunction with foreign investors. But you still don't know the location. There's no price tag on it. There's nothing about the services it will offer. Nothing. Just nothing. You want another example? Well, the MP for West Kingston said that they would build high-rise apartment complexes at Rose Place. And that is why they criticize this government engaging in a modern port. That was the NDP's brilliant idea. Build high-rise rental complexes at Rose Place. But now you have persons who lived on the beachfront and who will be affected by the project, living in their own home. Didn't have to put 1 red cent to build foundation to secure property whatsoever. A progressive government. Very progressive. Over $4 million. Rose Gardens. Overlooking the Caribbean Sea. Wonderful view. Upgraded living condition. Anything better than that? And we can't forget that it was the NDP who said we don't need an international airport. They say who will come? There are those who said it's only small planes will land there. There are those who said, well, what about the wind shifter? The wind's too strong. There are those who said government just wasting money. Well, as the Prime Minister announced yesterday, as the news also carried, Air Canada will be traveling frequently. You already have Virgin Atlantic. You already have American Airlines. You already have Conviasa. The flights are coming. The people are coming. The hotels are already here and coming. And more to come. Promises made, promises kept, promises being delivered. That is a government that you want. That is a political party that you will want to remain in government. Not one that just talk, spew hot air, engaged in ignorance, vile, backwardness, no clear leadership, no sound ideas. No, can't put those folks to run any country. Can't at all. You have in this quarter, the road rehabilitation program, and you have to really give kudos to Braxa. They're doing the staff of Braxa is doing a lot of work. Trust me on that, and there are many of you who would see it. Whether those who are clearing the drains, including the box drains and the like, and those who are engaged in road repair. I'm quite sure persons who traverse the Fabe and Belmont Road in particular, going up over into Mespo, can see the work that is being done by Braxa team. You have to give them kudos. The government is delivering. The next parliament sitting will be held in the temporary parliament building. Government is delivered. More homes are being constructed at Orange Hill. There are those who already received their keys, and there are those who already waited to receive their keys. And in conjunction with the Mustic Charitable Trust, government of St. Vincent and Grenadines is delivering. So we continue to stay on course, and we shall not be deterred. There's a progressive agenda to continue implement. There's leadership, firm policies, vision, sound ideas, and a capable team behind Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines to implement the many initiatives. Tablets already being distributed. A government working for the people. A government that is continuing to implement its agenda and making sure that people in this country have job opportunities, education opportunities to continue to excel and move up. With that, I thank everyone who also called in and interacted on the program. I really and truly apologize for the technical issues that we experience, especially through WhatsApp, and those who are trying through it. I really apologize for that. And those who may have heard intermittently a little background noise, they're doing some construction work at this particular facility. But nonetheless, we had a good program. Take care, stay safe, and have a blessed afternoon.
It's locally made, affordable price, Lord, up to $3 retail. When you see we line with the red and white case, show me what